I have been using the Seestar for about 3 months now, and it has been a great experience. Pretty much it hasn't failed on anything. Most of the time the mistakes are made by me. So sometimes things don't go well, and most likely it's that you forgot a little step here and there. For my dear Astro-Nerd members of my membership program, be sure to check the perk section to get your PDF document with this checklist, the steps that I explain in this video. So be sure that the battery is fully charged. Smart telescopes don't do well under 30% of battery. It takes from 2 to 4 hours to fully charge the battery. It lasts about 6 hours, but I never take a chance. I don't like to. And if I am going to leave the telescope outside for several hours and I am going back to sleep, I power the telescope using an extension cord. Well, the first step is to be sure that you pick a good location to put the Seestar, the tripod, and that it starts with the ground. Sometimes there's a lot of cars around. Don't do that because all of those vibrations are going to affect, and also, of course, all of the lights. So that step number one, pick a good location. Try to be away from street lights and cars driving by, as it's going to affect a lot the performance of the telescope. And then step two, it's going to be the tripod. And if you're using the tripod from Seestar, it's good. It's a low tripod that I recommend to keep the Seestar as low to the ground as possible. But I use tall tripods because I am in the mountains and I have a lot of trees around. So what I do, I'm sure that I have the tripod very steady and as short as possible on the last attachment that goes up. And also you can put some weight on it and keep it very steady. If you are going to capture the sun on the moon, the tripod doesn't need to be level. But for deep sky objects, you have to level the tripod and try to get the two green circles as close as possible. 0.5 or less is great. It doesn't need to be perfect, but the closer you get to 0, the better guiding you're going to have. For the mount mode, and if this is your first time or just one of the first times, I highly recommend just to use the basic mode just to get familiar with the telescope, which is the alt azimuth mode. But if you want to go a little bit more advanced, this is the moment where you have to change and switch to EQ mode. But for EQ mode, you need to be ready, as there are certain steps that you have to do prior to get into that mode. And for that, just be sure to watch my video that I did on Seestar S50 EQ mode. Once you pick your target and click on go to the telescope, it's going to do a series of calibration processes, from horizontal calibration to focusing. So be sure that from now on, do not touch the telescope anymore. Do not move it. Do not try to relocate or anything, as you will have to start all over again. You have to let the telescope finish the entire process. And right after that, you are going to see your first enhanced image. The most exciting part is going to be to pick your target, and you can go to tonight's best, and sometimes tonight's best is not the best. If you have a certain target in mind, it will be very helpful to have an app for sky objects, and I highly recommend to be sure that you're not wasting time trying to pick your target, as remember, the altitude is going to be very important, that latitude, because anything below 30 degrees is a problem, and over 70 degrees, it can be a lot of problems too. And here to visualize a little bit about the degrees and the altitude, the green area between 30 and 75 degrees altitude, it's ideal for this telescope. Anything below here, 30 degrees or above 75, is going to cause a lot of problems, poor seeing conditions caused by atmospheric turbulence. Above 75 degrees, it's not a good position for the telescope either, because it's pretty much reaching its limit. Well, focusing is everything in astrophotography. I personally use the autofocus, but if you are going to photograph a sky object that it's a little bit dim, it's not, it's one of those that there's not too much brightness, you may have to go and enable the manual focusing, and that can be a little bit of a process, but it can be done. And just be sure to look for those steps in another video, as that it's going to be a little bit more advanced, but I think overall autofocusing works pretty well. There are two important settings here on the advanced feature, and one of them is the exposure time. So you can pick from 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30, up to 1 minute. Now, if you're using the equal mode, of course, the higher the exposure time, the more problems you're going to have probably, and also you will get less images. So go ahead and pick your exposure time. And also here on the advanced settings, be sure that you check on save all frames. If the stack image is not what you were expecting, you can also go and look at all of the frames and then pick your own frames using an editing software. Also on that homepage, be sure to enable anti-dew and the watermark selection if you want your images to be identified with the Seestar, which is also very nice. There are many accessories online that you can buy for the Seestar, like dew shields and all that, but I have never used any of those, and the images are just fine with the anti-dew. If you want to see the live stacking, which is the most exciting part, be sure to enable live stacking, and also right there, go ahead and enable save each frame. Stay tuned for upcoming videos for the Seestar S50, and if you like my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe.